Hello, finance enthusiasts. Once upon a time, all the gold in the world was in Rome's treasury, but in the end it collapsed because of its own money. The superpower of history, the Roman Empire, was not destroyed by the sword, but by a silent killer called inflation. So, how does an empire destroy its own currency? Why do prices soar? And how similar is this story to the money in our pockets today? Just like the post-pandemic inflation shook us, Rome was also rocked by the loss of its currency's value. Watch until the end. You'll see what Rome did to try to save its economy, why it didn't work, and whether today's central banks are repeating the same mistakes. Let's explore Rome's economic collapse. But hold on to your wallets because these lessons are closer than you think. Inflation, simply put, it means rising living costs. One day, bread, wine, and oil prices go up. The next day, the money in your pocket loses value. Rome's economy ran on silver denarius coins. The empire, expanding through conquests, spent huge sums to finance its armies and build cities. But silver mines were running low. The solution? Emperors minted more coins, but reduced their silver content. This decreased the value of money and sent prices soaring. In the 1st century AD, Nero started this policy after the Great Fire of Rome. In the 2nd century, the Antonine Plague reduced the population and labor became scarce. Nominal wages rose, but real purchasing power collapsed. By the 3rd century, money printing had gone out of control. The denarius was nearly worthless. This is strikingly similar to modern central bank money printing policies. Think about it. Just as the global money surplus after the pandemic drove prices up, the same thing happened in Rome. Continuous money printing shook confidence and the economy. Do you think such a strategy would not be risky today? Inflation deeply shook Rome. In the 3rd century, prices rose so much that a sack of wheat cost a soldier's entire annual salary. The trade network collapsed. Silver flowed out to pay for goods from the Silk Road. Merchants, lacking confidence in money, hoarded their goods. Taxes fell short because money was worthless. Peasants abandoned their fields, cities emptied, and local administrators couldn't collect taxes. Inflation eroded not only prices, but also the authority of the state. When legionaries' wages were insufficient, loyalty decreased and rebellions increased. The rich preserved their wealth, while the poor went hungry. Social inequality deepened. Civil wars and barbarian invasions worsened the wounds opened by inflation. In some regions, people saw barbarians as saviors when the state collapsed. Imagine a baker. Flour prices skyrocket, and he has to double the price of bread. Customers, of course, are furious. Rome's economic and social structure collapsed as a result. Today, high inflation can also divide societies. How big do you think the difference is? The emperors acted to stop inflation. The most important step was the price control edict issued by Diocletian in AD 301. The chaos of the 3rd century, civil wars, invasions, economic crises, made the edict necessary. Price ceilings were set for thousands of goods and services, including bread, wine, shoes, labor, and even exotic animals. The goal was to protect the army and the people, but the plan backfired. Merchants hoarded their goods and black markets thrived. Even though breaking the edict was punishable by death, no one followed it because confidence in money was zero. For example, bread was cheap in Egypt while prices doubled in Italy. The edict could not be enforced across the empire. Diocletian minted new coins, but their silver content was so low that they were worthless. Previous Emperor Aurelian's monetary reform had also failed. Constantine's gold-based solidus provided stability for a while, but the bronze coins that people still used remained worthless. The result? Black markets grew, trade stalled, and the economy collapsed. Price controls don't work without trust. So, what else could Rome have done? Rome's collapse shows how uncontrolled money printing and poor management can destroy an empire. Inflation destroys not only prices, but also confidence and social order. In Rome, the price of wheat could consume a soldier's salary, while today gasoline or food prices affect millions. Imagine, in 2022, global inflation surged due to the pandemic and energy crises. Gas prices hit record highs, and shopping baskets swelled. Rome's situation was not much different. In the 1970s, U.S. price controls also failed, like in Rome. Countries experiencing hyperinflation repeated the same story. In Rome, the gap between rich and poor widened, peasants became serfs, and state authority collapsed. Today, inflation also increases income inequality. Small businesses close and workers struggle to make ends meet. Rome's lesson is clear. Without a stable currency, trust, and long-term policies, an economy will fail. Rome was destroyed by internal enemies like inflation. Do you think today's central banks have learned from these mistakes? The silent killer of ancient Rome, inflation, showed us how it can topple an empire. History serves as a guide for today's economy. Rome fell, but its legacy continued in Byzantium. They temporarily controlled inflation with gold coins, but eventually fell into the same traps. Are you curious about the story of Byzantium? In our next video, we'll dive into the crisis of the 3rd century, Rome's financial meltdown. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Subscribe to our channel because more finance and history content is on the way. Let's meet in the comments. Could Rome have solved this crisis?